Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Online Academy with Ma'am Aisha Fiaz. I'm going to start with a detailed explanation of all the question types of paper 1 today. For section A, I have added the insert nameless along with the questions, and we are going to start with number 1. But before that, I believe that it is a good idea to share a couple of command words that have also been shared in the Cambridge syllabus. When you are asked to consider something, the examiner expects you to review and respond to the given information. If you are asked to evaluate, you are supposed to judge or calculate the quality, importance, amount, or value of something. If you are asked to describe, you need to state the points of a topic or give characteristics and main features of something. If you are asked to explain, you need to set out purposes or reasons. You need to be able to make relationships between things clear and talk about why and or how and support the answers with relevant evidence. If you're asked to give something, you need to produce an answer from the given source. If you're asked to identify, you're either supposed to name, select, or recognize. And in the end, if you're asked to summarize, you need to be able to select and present the main points without adding too much detail. We will begin with reading the text, and you must notice that I have added the questions right next to the paragraph from where you might get the answer, and for sure you'll get the answer. Students often neglect going to the mark sheet or the marking scheme while doing their past papers, and at times students consult them before they even answer the questions. What I am going to do right now is I'm not only going to discuss the marking criteria for the question, but I'm also going to try to explain to you how to attempt the answers. I've just taken the first question. We'll have all the parts from A to G, and if we look at the first question, you'll see that I have highlighted the command words. So the first question is very simple. It's a 1-mark explicit type question, and explicit type questions will normally have their answers in the text. Again, do not copy the words. Please try to write it in your own words as much as possible. Let's look at the first question. In what way is the structure of redwood trees the opposite of most trees? Okay, so my keywords over here are structure of redwood trees and opposite. Right now I'm going to look at line number 2, and I'm going to go about reading the whole paragraph so that I can make sure that I have the correct answer. Please understand that there are instances where there are 2 to 3 different answers, and the examiner also appreciates answers that are not often thought of but are still correct. So you have the option of writing something that is that has not been seen by anybody else, and if it is correct and if it is up to the mark, the examiner is going to end up marking you well. So when I read this, okay, Mo and Marwood stood at the base of nameless, peering upwards into its crown. Okay, so they were looking up, and most probably crown up at the part up at the top, right? So the structure of any redwood tree is the opposite of most trees. Okay, my keyword has just come up here. Whose branches get smaller towards the top. Well, this is what I know, that normally trees do get smaller at the top. So nameless, this ancient giant of the forest, grew increasingly complicated and more massive higher off the ground. Now I have different answers that I can put in. For example, I can simply say that unlike normal trees, redwood tree grows increasingly complex as it goes higher up. Or I can say that the branches are larger as you move towards the top, or the branches grow very complicated towards the top, or if you consult the mark scheme, they have also added it is more massive towards the top of the tree. So if you've written any one of these answers, you're going to end up with 1 mark. Okay, very easy. Second question says, using your own words, explain what the text means by ancient giant of the forest. It's a 3 mark or a 2 mark. No, it's not a 3 mark, but a 2 mark question. And I want you to focus on these 2 words over here. First, it says using your own words. Okay, that means you must not copy anything. Secondly, ancient giant of the forest. You need to explain the word ancient and you need to explain the word giant. Now, when I look at the word ancient, I know that it's very old. Okay, something that is extremely old. And giant, a giant would be what? Something that is enormous, maybe huge, maybe something that is very tall. Okay, so I would say that the tree nameless is one, very old, and secondly, it is very tall, or it is huge, or it is enormous. Okay, and if you write both these features, you're going to get marks. Sometimes children write just about ancient or either just the giant part, and they will not be getting full marks for that. Question C is very interesting. Give 2 features, okay, of the enormous trunk of nameless that would make it difficult to begin to climb this particular tree. And this is from lines 5 to 9. Now, it's a 2 mark answer. That means I need to give 2 features, okay. Let's read from lines 5 to 9. The tree was about 100 meters tall with a diameter of about 3 meters near its base. Okay, that's really big. That's really big. The trunk was an enormous cylinder of soft, crumbly bark. Far above the ground, a few small wispy branches popped out of the trunk, but there were no branches on its lower reaches. Okay, I think I have found both my answers here. Higher up still, a tangle of limbs emerged and wandered out of sight, buried in the clouds of foliage. Mo and Marwood couldn't see its top. So the tree was, like I said, huge. Okay, it was a giant of a tree. And the 2 answers, the 2 parts that I found, I'm sure you must have done the same. One, that the bark is quite soft and crumbly, right? Like I said, try writing it in your own words, so I can just break that. Or I can say that the bark was soft and it crumbled as it was touched, okay. Or you can also write that there were no branches towards its lower reaches, okay. The examiner says that not every word has a synonym, so if you were to copy that, you would still get your mark. But what if you wrote something like it was cylinder, or it was enormous, or it was 3 meters near the base only? I don't think you'd be getting a mark for it. Alright, then give 2 details that show the relentless speed. Now this is what you need to focus on, the word relentless and the word speed, with which a redwood tree can grow according to the text. Again, these should be easily available, right? Let's read from line 10 onwards, even though they've said that we should read from line 18. Let's do that. Alright, let's see. They can survive in dark places at the bottom of a forest in the deep shade of their elders, where few other trees would survive. A small redwood living in the deep shade hardly grows at all but does not die. It goes into a kind of suspended animation if it is hit by light. It once again grows with relentless speed. Nameless had clearly basked in light. It was huge. Okay. Then what else? That means I don't think I got my answer here, so I might have to read from above. Marwood recalled that in ideal conditions, a redwood can grow from a seed into a tree that's an astonishing 16 meter tall in its first 20 years of life. So yes, I think this is the relentless speed part, because if you look at it, a seed can grow up to 16 meters in just first 20 years. Okay. And then if you move on, it says that It increases in height by nearly a meter annually. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this could be a possible answer. And then what else? After that, it grows faster still, adding mass at an accelerating rate. It can exceed 75 centimeters in diameter at chest length in fewer than 60 years. So, okay, what else? So this is, I think, another possibility. Yes, the growth of redwoods generally slows down after the first 100 years, though by the age of 800 they may have reached a height as tall as a 30-story building. Now, what could be my possible answers here? Well, I think that if I write a redwood can grow from a seed into a tree that is up to 16 meters tall in about the first 20 years of its life, and I could also say that it grows by nearly a meter annually. I could also write it can exceed up to 75 centimeters in diameter at chest length in less than 60 years. So all three of these responses are absolutely correct, and if you write any two of these, you should get your full marks. The last question on this page says, explain what Mo is thinking when he looked again at the lowest branch of a smaller tree standing next to nameless. Okay, so what is he thinking? Let's see. You aren't going to climb it, are you? Asked Marwood incredulously. No answer. Mo looked again at the lowest branch of a smaller tree standing next to nameless. Without warning, he leapt, grabbed and swung himself up onto the branch in one fluid movement and began climbing upwards. Well, this is a 1-mark answer. Now, what do you think? If you look at how he has behaved, he was looking up, okay, and they're saying that what do you explain what you think he might be thinking about, right? What he is thinking about when he looked again. So I'm sure he must have thought about whether he could climb up using the other tree. So that could be the possible answer, or he might be planning, or he might be thinking about using the other tree to get access to nameless itself, right? So these are the two possible answers. Again, I would suggest that it's a very good idea to go through the marking scheme. Of course, I'm not doing it right now, I'm doing it in real time, but hopefully there are no wrong answers for this particular question. Okay, so we are going to continue with our nameless passage, and like I said earlier, that we are going to complete questions 1 to G first. In fact, we have H2, so 1 to H. And we are going to start by reading the first question. How does Mo feel about trying to climb nameless? And give 2 details from the text to support your answer. This is actually a 3-mark question, because if you look at the first part, there are 2 parts to this question. You have 1, how does he feel about trying to climb it? And then you need to give 2 details from the text to support your answer. Once you answer all 3 parts, you should be able to get all your marks. Let's read this part, shall we? Mo arrived at the top of the smaller tree. The tree had narrowed to a pole thinner than his wrist and began swaying under his weight. Having got as high as he could go, Mo looked across at Nameless and spotted a spray of slender branches on the curving wall of its monstrous trunk. A little branch stuck out directly in front of him. Mo wanted to grab that branch. He edged closer to it, and the smaller tree began to bend under his weight. Obviously, if Mo is trying to climb the tree anyway, he might be very determined, I think, or maybe too excited by the prospect of being able to climb it. Maybe he was confident and he's been doing things like these before. Perhaps he was enthusiastic, or it was a challenge for him, alright, that he wanted to face no matter what. Or it could be like, someone might end up writing something like he was having very positive feelings when he was trying to climb Nameless, and I think that would be acceptable too. Now it says give 2 details to support this answer. if I look at the previous paragraph, you will see that he leaps without warning. Okay, so he doesn't hesitate. And then 10 minutes later, Mo arrived at the top of the smaller tree. I think he wants to climb very quickly, so that's what I would be writing. And he did not give up even when the tree was thinner than his wrist and it began to bend under his weight. Now he continued to, work with the situation no matter what. During his climb, Mo discovered a problem which he had not seen when he was on the ground. Okay, this is a 1-mark question. They're simply asking you to tell you what was the problem. There was a gap between the branch of the smaller tree and Nameless. From the ground, Mo had not noticed the gap, expecting that the little tree's branches touched the big tree's branches, providing a bridge to walk across. Mo studied the situation. If he could just reach out far enough, he might be able to grab that little branch on Nameless. Well, this answer is very simple. He had not seen a gap. He had not observed the gap as he looked up from the ground. But the moment he had climbed the other tree, the smaller tree, he saw that it was not going to be possible to walk from the smaller tree up to Nameless. So this was the problem. Part 2 for question G says, what did Mo decide to do to solve the problem? Okay, let's see. We'll have to continue reading. Trying not to think about how high up he was, Mo focused his mind on the problem. The gap was really not very large, he thought. He would have to let go of the small redwood and make a leap up into the big tree. Okay, the other tree was also the redwood tree. And making a leap into the big tree and grasp a branch with his hands like a circus performer catching the bar of a swinging trapeze. Very risky. He had to jump high or his body wouldn't clear the branches of the smaller tree and he'd get tangled and would fall. Well, I think the problem is very clear. There's a gap and the only way he can cover it up would be to jump from the smaller redwood tree to the larger redwood tree. And I think that's it. There is no other answer to this. Alright. Explain using your own words Marwood's different feelings about Mo climbing Nameless. Give 3 details from anywhere in the text to support your answer. If they're asking for 3 details, then obviously this is of 3 marks. And the only way to go about it would be that we'll have to simply read ahead, won't we? Okay, so if I was standing on the ground and I had to make this jump, I could do it, he thought. So why not up here? He tried to force his hand to just let go of the tree. Just let go. I can't watch, Marwood shouted furiously from below and closed his eyes. He dreaded hearing a scream followed by a meaty thud. Okay, that's very graphic. So I can see quite a lot of possibilities over here. In the top of the tree, Mo let go and jumped. He felt gravity go to 0. The world stopped. Mo watched the branch of the large redwood approach in slow motion and saw his fingers extend towards it. There was a jerk and he found himself hanging on from the branch by both hands. I'm actually trying to see if there is any other possibility of the answer. Well, no, I don't think so. So one, I can see that Mo is Marwood. We need to find about Marwood. Alright. So I can say that the first thing is that Marwood says he can't watch and he's quite furious about it because Mo is putting him through this like whole show. Then he is sure that Mo might fall All right, so he's quite pessimistic. I think he might be nervous too. Marwood might be nervous. All right, and from here I can just find these three answers. But if I think about what I read earlier, he asked this question, you aren't going to try to climb it, are you? So I think that Mo is also amazed at how like not Mo is how amazed, Marwood is pretty amazed at Mo trying to climb the tree. So I think that's just about it. These are all the possible answers. Again, if they're asking you for three details, please from anywhere in the text, yes. So that means I not only have to look at this part, but I can read the previous part and I can try to find the answers. Please remember that you need to read the questions very, very clearly. With this, I'm going to leave, and hopefully we'll come back with the next part of the questions and another video. Thank you so much.